Hi, my name is Braden Huey. I'm a pre-med student at Baylor University, and I'm here researching if vaccinations really do cause autism. This week I encountered a video from ihealthtube.com, which is a video channel on YouTube that investigates different health controversies. So this past video that I watched was one saying that vaccinations and autism are related. They had a special guest star, Dr. Stephanie Seneff, in which they actually interviewed throughout the entire video, and she explained how she uses her computer science skills, and that's like her doctorate degree is in computer science, and she uses data that she's found over time, and she compares the graphs to draw conclusions based on these graphs, to draw conclusions to see if vaccinations and autism and all these other things that are going on, to see if they are related and to see if they have a correlation. So she starts off the video explaining her job, which is computer science analytics. So she analyzes graphs and she draws relationships from the trends that she sees in the graph. So she said that there's a relationship between people getting vaccinated, there are more and more getting vaccinated, and that also there are more and more people getting autism. So she's discussing a positive correlation between those getting vaccinated and those contracting autism. She moves to cite a study by Dr. Andrew Wakefield. She says that this study was conducted around in the 1900s, and it found that there is a link between the MMR vaccination and autism, but the study failed to explain what the link was. She then moves to discuss that this link might be in glutamate or something that is involved in the ingredients in the vaccination, and she goes to cite this with another graph that she explains that before 2002, vaccinations had a certain composition and they only caused a certain amount of autism. And then after 2002, now they cause more autism, and there's a different ingredient in vaccinations that they've actually added to the chamber in the syringe, what you're injecting into the patient. She claims that there's also vaccinations have aluminum 3+. Okay, aluminum has a 3+ charge, and she says that when that violates the blood-brain barrier, when it goes into your brain, it will cause autism. She claims that aluminum does this by binding to glutamate. And then she also cites that HPV, a newer vaccine, has lots of aluminum ions in it. So to summarize, her argument was basically that vaccinations and autism have a very strong correlation, and from that she can draw the conclusion that autism is being caused by vaccinations, and also that autism and the vaccinations are dangerous because they cause autism. So let's move to establish what appeal they have in this. Which rhetorical element do they try to establish themselves as? And for iHealthTube.com, they bring in doctors and well-known people who have educations that are extensive in their specific areas and their specific studies to address newer topics. So in this case, they bring in a doctor of computer sciences who has been doing her job for, I think, approximately 25 years, and is well known in the computer science community. And so they have established their ethos in this video. They have a nice interviewing room, and they have they're both respectfully dressed, very businesslike and very professional. So through these visual cues and through having a doctorate qualified guest star to interview, they established ethos in their video. Now, moving on to Dr. Stephanie Seneff, that is a different story. She claims that she's arguing about vaccinations, and she's explaining how she's found correlations and stuff in data for vaccinations and autism, but she does not have any background in sciences, and she did not serve as a doctor of medicine, rather than she is probably has basic science courses. I believe she graduated with a BS degree in computer sciences. So that means that she took science classes, but that is not in her area of specialty. She is a computer scientist. She looks at data, she analyzes the data, and then she tries to draw conclusions from that data. Moreover, she also cites Dr. Wakefield. So she builds her own credibility in that she cites well-known studies. She cites other doctors who are supposedly known to have been successful, and she cites studies that have been conducted in the past that have been proven to find results. That is how she builds her credibility. So moving on to whether or not we should believe this, I believe that we shouldn't, for a couple of reasons. I think that Dr. Sneff's argument is false, and I think that it's false because she builds her idea of causation from correlation, and she also has citing of Dr. Wakefield. So firstly, you cannot determine causation from correlation. There are many other confounding variables that are behind the graphs, that are behind the data. So correlation does not prove causation. So an excellent example of this is, say you take the number of individuals who wear size XXL clothing, and you also take the number of heart disease cases. So if you make a graph of that, there's going to be more sold, as XXL clothing is sold, there will be more cases of heart disease. Now, does this mean that XXL clothing causes heart disease? No, it means that those wearing XXL clothing probably have heart disease because they're probably obese, and we know that obesity can lead to heart problems. So that is why that you cannot conclude correlation from causation. In addition to the XXL argument, that correlation does not prove causation, Dr. Seneff is wrong when she cites Dr. Wakefield. So Dr. Wakefield was a British doctor who did a study on the relationship between the MMR vaccination, which is measles, mumps, and rubella, and the cases of autism in the United Kingdom. He came out with this study and he released it to the press and destroyed the MMR manufacturing company because no one wanted the vaccine. Why would you vaccinate your child if he's going to get autism? So doctors from America and the United Kingdom worked together and they did tons of studies to see if there was any connection. They couldn't find any connection. So they strategically interviewed and tried to figure out how Dr. Wakefield found this. And they figured out that his study was actually fraud. That he falsified this. He had children come in and get vaccinations and then record to see if they contracted autism, which is one, morally incorrect, and that violates the scientific procedure in an experiment, and two, the kids would often lie, and also they were told to explain certain feelings. So when they go back to his spreadsheet and they go back to his chart, some kids even said that they experienced autism before the vaccination was before the vaccination was administered, some too far long after, some the next day, and so it just showed very inconsistent data, and it was later found to be falsified. And it was found that he conducted this study originally so that he could get a financial sum from some lawyers who wanted to sue the MMR vaccination company but did not have any leverage. So in order for them to sue the vaccination company, they needed Dr. Wakefield to publish a study to show that vaccinations do cause this. So in conclusion, iHealthTube, they are a credible source in that, or they establish their credibility through finding credible people. In this specific video, the person is not credible. She's a computer scientist who determines her thoughts, her process, and her studies from simply looking at data, not conducting any experiments, and not looking at any scientific data. Not looking at any scientific studies, just the data. And we proved earlier with the XXL example that correlation is not always causation. Moreover, she cited a study that's been rebuked by the scientific public and by most of just modern America, in that this study was a huge deal and it was hugely revoked. And Dr. Wakefield he lost his license. He was unable to practice medicine after he published this study. So because of Dr. Seneff's citation of a false study, and because she only drew her conclusions through data that she analyzed, and because she does not have a specialty degree in medicine, I believe that her arguments are not credible, and I believe that they are wrong. This is what I found through my studies and through my research. And yeah, thank you for tuning in, and please check out my blog, orangegoose.gsucreate.org. And one more thing is, if you want to go ahead and read about Dr. Wakefield and how his study was wrong and incorrect, and how he lost his medal, or not his medal, his degree, his right to practice medicine, you can go on to this URL here. I don't know if you can see that. It might be backwards. Reads www.historyofvaccines.org /content/articles/do-vaccines-cause-autism. This is a very credible website. It is It is recognized by the World Health Organization. So not just the U.S. government, not just the CDC, but also the World Health Organization as a very credible source of vaccination ideas, stories, and studies. All right, thank you.